A trend-based Fibonacci time zone is ideally used during a definitive trend reversal, like in this case, where the Fibonacci time intervals are based on this uptrend from points 1 to 2. Then points 2 and 3 make up the first move in the new trend. In this case, the first downswing in the downtrend. And the idea is that when price is trading around the time of these trend-based Fibonacci time zone lines, more significant events are likely to take place at support and resistance, either reversals or continuations. Since this is in the context of a downtrend, attention is mostly focused on whether price will make bullish movements for upswings to counter the downtrend. That being said, price could also just flatten or continue going lower, usually when there's above-average selling volume returning. And when the downtrend ends, right around the one line, these lines could still identify periods of interest later on, but it's usually better to stop using the lines after a new trend emerges. Mostly because the new emerging trend will differ from the proportions of the lines that are based on a previous trend. Fast forward over here, we do a similar thing, except it's a smaller uptrend, which has transitioned to more bearish to neutral rather than straight bearish trading for a less definitive downtrend. So not the most ideal conditions, but it still identifies areas of interest, with lines running near two minor reversal areas already. Now, as price nears the high of the previous uptrend, and it's around the time of the one line, resistance is likely to be more active around this range in price and time, and is only likely to be surpassed if there is consistent and/or above-average bullish volume. Since the Fibonacci lines were based on the proportions of a smaller uptrend this time, the lines are much closer together. But even then, not all swing points and continuation areas will be covered with lines running through them. And the lines may not always run exactly through the center of a swing point, but usually within a few candles. Moving the third point just moves the positions of the lines back and forth in time. But moving points 1 and 2 closer together brings the lines closer together, as the trend and the proportions based off it get closer. And the opposite, when you spread them apart, they widen. During a very large and long-term trend, like this historic recovery of gold prices, it would be impractical to use the entire trend, or even a moderate chunk of it, to base the trend-based Fibonacci time tool on. The proportions would simply be too large to be useful in most cases. So you try to pick a moderate-sized portion of the trend. There's no exact number or ratio, but you place the trend-based Fibonacci time tool on a clear trend and try to validate it by putting it in a position where the first few lines are close to reversal or continuation areas to show that they are indeed active and useful to begin with. This placement is not the best or worst. What it is a good demonstration of a strong long-term trend in a continuation context. In this case, rising price does stall around the times when it nears the Fibonacci timelines. Because of the bullish momentum, resistance is often just flattening price before continuing higher, rather than forming distinct downswings. Changing the length of the position of points 1 and 2 in order to cover different portions of a trend changes the proportions of the spacing between the lines and does even get lines near distinct downswings. But the same general flattening and continuation movements are covered. When price does finally show a sharper bearish reversal, the peak will be great for point 2 and get point 3 down to where this first sharp bearish move ends with the recent upswing area. Point 1 will often be the lowest point in or near the continuation range, which is marked by blue in this example. This is usually where price stalls relatively flat before continuing in the direction of the larger long-term trend. This option is often a good first choice to place the trend-based Fib time tool on during a larger continuation that finally reverses more. It's quite close to some major swing points, but the disadvantage with this positioning is the larger proportions. So we could try to put point 1 on some later swing points in the continuation range to shorten the portion of the trend the lines are based on. These variations also run through some notable continuation and reversal areas, but not necessarily through the most significant ones. A demonstration of how there isn't always one exact one way to use this tool, but there are usually preferred placements. Now there's a similar situation with a recent sharp downswing after another long-term bullish continuation. placing a trend-based fib time tool from the lowest point in the bullish continuation range to the recent peak, and point 3 down to the first upswing low again highlights lines running close to the times when major events happen. First, it's shortly before the downtrend accelerates, and later, the neutral to bullish opposition to the drop. Again, using narrower portions for the base trend yields varying results, until going too narrow shows us how the tool can become less useful when the chart is cluttered in a relatively short time range with frequent lines close together. Also here, there was technically a major trend change, but this bullish move in a shorter time frame also wasn't that useful for similar reasons, with the intervals between the lines being so small as a result of being based on a short trend in terms of time range. Here's an interesting example with a stable long-term downtrend that begins to flatten upon the formation of a moderate double bottom reversal. We can then base a trend-based fib time tool on one of the final portions before the double bottom appeared, and use the first upswing of the double bottom. Results are mixed, but quite importantly, when price falls back to the double bottom range and trading is around the final line at the 3 line, there is a major reversal at established support. Again, we don't use this clear last major portion of the downtrend, even though it's a strong bearish move because it's a short time range and crams the lines very close together to essentially become useless. If we combine another trend-based fib time tool with our original placement, the areas where lines converge from both variations does indeed identify most of the more significant points in time. However, this is quite cluttered and messy, so it's usually not advisable to do this. Instead, using a regular Fibonacci time zone tool placed on where points 2 and 3 of the trend-based Fibonacci time zone were placed is a common option that usually produces converging lines with less clutter. The regular fib time zone can also be placed on point 3 of the trend-based fib time tool and the following swing point. In this case, it also marks the start of the second half of the double bottom range. Converging lines aren't necessary, and combining fib time tools isn't a must-have too. It's a nice-to-have for theoretically greater confluence. What is more important is whatever vertical fib time zone lines you use, that they intersect at a major range like this support range, so you know when that price range might become even more important, like here approximately. Next, when price surges up with historic bullish volatility driven by the Israeli and US strikes on Iran, the trend-based fib time tool cannot be placed until an upswing forms, following the defined downswing peak above 115. As expected, the intersections with Fibonacci timelines and major support levels tends to oppose falling price during the ongoing downtrend. And like before, we can cover different swing points with narrower variations, but like usual, the preferred option of using the whole uptrend that covers a moderate time range for moderate proportions produces the best results. Also like before, combining a regular fib time zone can converge on similar areas of importance in terms of price and time range.